Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to today's live session. I'm Dale Callahan. I'm your host here. Glad that you are in here or that you're joining us, whether you're joining us live or you're joining us as a pop up. So, if you're a homeschooling parent or a graduate of a homeschooling parent, actually, if you're a maybe even a grandparent of homeschooling parents, if that made sense. You this is for you. We're going to talk about some opportunities for celebrating Christmas in a different way, some different gift ideas that we can do here. As we dive in though to this, we are in the Christmas holiday season. We often think about the gifts. There's so many gifts that are given, and one thing that we have noticed about homeschoolers and homeschooling families is it's expensive. It costs money. We've made a choice not to be in the public school system or in some private school system because we want to take control. But there's expenses. There is the expense of number one, parent being at home doing this and having the time to do it and manage that, as well as the expenses of curriculum and working with curriculum providers and the things that might take to get the education done. So one of the gifts that we see given very often is people buying for either sometimes they're for their children or sometimes it's for the children actually doing homeschooling or grandparents buying for the families or friends buying for the families in homeschooling communities that need it to provide for them the resources they need to keep homeschooling. There's all types of people at different levels of income and wealth, and you're friends with lots of people that are homeschooling that are on some limited resources. So we just want to share with you some of the opportunities in the gifts that you can give. So think about though for math. We're going to talk about high school math, where math really becomes critical. I mean, we would say education is always critical, but for those bouncing into career fields or bouncing into college or whatever that comes next, math is a critical element. We talked about this last week. Math is a critical element of all types of career levels because it's just so much about logical thinking. So what we want you to do is to give you the opportunity of taking advantage of gifting this with a 20% Christmas discount that we have going on right now. So there's a 20% discount. I forget. I guess we'll get that put in the comment section below. I think it's probably in the comment section from last time also. So before we dive in though, before we get in, I'm gonna kind of share a little bit about what's going on in these programs and talk about them, answer some of the common questions that we get, some of the frequent questions that we get. But before we dive in, hit the share button, hit the like button, and share this with other people. The way the community Facebook and all these communities work is really not because of something we're doing, but because of your sharing with others. And that's how it works. That's how it's designed to work. So share this out and or provide it to especially to friends of yours that might be looking to either go into doing some high school math or providing a gift for those who are. So let's talk a little bit though why this is a great gift idea. So, how many gifts do we get that have no lasting meaning? Somebody I was a pastor was the other day talking about we're gonna all get gifts this Christmas. We'll get some that we like, some that we need, and some we just don't want. And we will be regifting them, goodwilling them, whatever happens with them. And we get so much. It's a blessing to be in an affluent society that we can do that, but there's so much that just doesn't have any lasting impact. What the impact of education? So for a homeschooling family, there's nothing more valuable. I mean, this is the choice they've made is to invest in education. And you think about that's an incredible financial. It's an incredible time commitment. I mean, it's a major commitment to invest in their education. So this is where they've kind of put all their, stacked all their coins or put all their chips in one place because they're investing in their children and trying to help them to be prepared. Of course, most of them, not all, but most of them are also investing in them in their faith, which we hope that comes first. But this is the educational path that they've taken because they have options, and this is the one that sometimes it looks like it costs less. It probably does not, but it's certainly the one that takes up the most time and takes up the most energy. So just just think about the commitment that you have made, or that your friends and family have made, and probably if you are homeschooling, lots of other people who have made that same choice. Math is one of these subjects that's critical to building thinking skills, problem solving skills, confidence. And there's only a few subjects, you always hear about reading, writing, and arithmetic. There's only a few subjects that if you're moving forward into college, there's only a few that they care about. There's all this surplus stuff, that's great. But there's only a few subjects that they're really going to look at. There's only a few subjects that really are going to, make a difference in most of your careers. And your just ability to handle basic logical thinking is just so important. A career or voting for somebody for political office. In so many other ways, all the arguments, all the debates, all the logical fallacies that are out there, and just being illogical. And we watch on social media, and we realize how little logic there is in this country, or at least how little people are using it. So, but whether you're preparing for college prep or career opportunities, or just everyday life, just some strong math skills, logical skills, critical thinking skills could really open up your doors for you and give you the ability. So whether you do college or not, they're still absolutely critical. Algebra and geometry are in particular is where most of us are starting our high school adventure into mathematics. And for many people, it's the two courses that they hated the most as they look back, or it's the beginning of the not liking math. Frankly, oftentimes it's done very poorly, and that's why we didn't like it. In particular, though, these two are foundational subjects. Algebra and geometry are just the foundation for so much what goes on in life. We use them all the time. Even if we hated the class of math, we're doing this stuff constantly, and we're not even aware of it. And our children might or might not be picking it up. But educating them and preparing them. So this is just, we just have one of our families had shared with us, that their child went from dreading math to feeling confident and excited. And that's a big deal. Confidence, just getting to the point that you feel confident in doing something, because a lot of the reason we don't like subjects is because we don't feel confident. We've been told to dread things. So this was what she had said. We feel confident and excited about using the program, or my student does, my child does. And that's a transformation that we want every family to experience. So let me tell you a little bit about the algebra and the geometry programs that we have here. Those are the two core that most people are taking. We obviously go higher mathematics than that, but those are the foundations, and those are the things that we're all looking for practical everyday knowledge. And anything beyond that is generally pushing you towards college-based material. All right, so these two are our algebra and geometry, we are using Harold Jacobs textbooks. We've been working with Harold Jacobs for a long time. Matter of fact, we were probably the first group of people to work with Harold Jacobs. We worked directly with him in putting together the videos. Since then, there's other people that have based courses based upon his textbooks, but we had put them on video for the homeschool audience, and he had reached out to us. We actually published some of his material for him before we turned it over to other publishers. And why Harold Jacobs? His material is just so well put together. There's a lot of great material out there in math. There's a lot of great textbooks, but when I talk about geometry, there's nothing comparable. I mean, that I know of, that I have seen, unless it was published last week, there's nothing comparable in geometry. But even in his algebra, it's just so well put together and very step by step with practice problems, and it makes things engaging, and it brings a real world to math. Or brings math to the real world, if you want to look at it that way. So, so in the algebra, what he's doing and what we're working with him to do is break down the complex concepts into simple, manageable steps. As a matter of fact, and we continue this into geometry, a lot of the support questions we get, and by the way, we offer support, and that's one thing people comment to us. Not a lot of these programs don't really offer support. If you email us, you're not emailing India or anybody else. You're getting directly to us. We are answering your questions. We're going to make sure you get through it, or make sure your son or daughter gets through it, however you want to email. But some of the very common questions we get are people that are overthinking it. They're trying to make it more complicated because Harold Jacobs is just trying to walk you step by step, logically. Let's think through this, and sometimes, especially if you're coming from another curriculum that made things difficult, they get tripped up on their own trying to make it difficult. And once they get that, they're like, oh, well, that's great. I understand that. So really a great way of doing things, especially when we talk about proofs in geometry. I hated proofs. I despised the proofs when I was in wherever I took proofs. I don't remember. Initially, anyways, I hated that stuff. And it was the way it was presented and the way it was taught. He does it with an excellent methodology. And so that's part of the reason we chose to work with him. So these programs, though, they're not just curricula. They are confidence boosters. And we want to get your son or daughter moving from algebra into geometry into higher math, feeling like they could just tackle whatever they want to do, because they can. There's very few people. I mean, there's people who don't like math. There's people who are more gifted towards math than others, but anybody can do this. This is not it's not rocket science yet at this point. So here is, so let me just open up and see if we can show you a little bit about what's inside these programs. Let's see if I can get my screen share to work properly here. Too many buttons. All right. All right, there we are. All right, so this is if you log in to our course program. And by the way, this is for those of you that maybe haven't used us in years, we have redone this, and we thank you for our web development team at WP. Well, I'm not going to say, I'm saying the name wrong of the company. But anyway, they did a great job putting this all together for us and transitioning, and it was quite a job. So we've got now all of our courses and our store together. So this is the store and where products are sold, and you can see all of our products and what they're offering. You can see the things that are on sale here. And then you can, but when you go to my account And so once you buy something, and you would get an email that tells you all this, you would have access to these courses. And so you see algebra and geometry. They're um, some of our biggest selling courses. Now, algebra is taught by Cassidy. She's our oldest daughter. She was calculus tutors and everything else. And in the time we wanted somebody that could relate, better to the people coming off, because a lot of people are coming out of the K through sixth grade at this point in time. So she does a great job. The course is laid out. So there's an introductory video. You can see all the things you needed are links right here. They're linked to the products. You need the textbook, and you do need the teacher guide by Jacobs, at least right now. And the solution manual. Right now, the solution manuals goes with the, if you ordered one today, depending on when you order. The publisher, which is Master Books, is the current publisher, is kind of repackaging this right now. So right now, these two are together. So that's the way we are selling them, because we are reselling their products. So as you come down in here, you'll see there's a homework and a frequently asked questions section. And this is where we try to update things. And so there's some links in here. We've got some of it on the website itself. But as you jump into the chapters, so you'll see how many lessons are in each chapter. And we are following Harold Jacobs' textbook exactly in here. So now sometimes the lessons are together, and that's because they flow together. And so you will see here these videos. I would say in algebra, all the videos are 15-minute or sometimes less, but that's the time period. What we did not want to do is being hour-long videos or something really long, because you don't learn math by watching. You need to get it, and then you need to go do it, which is like you would learn music or pretty much anything else. It's a hands-on activity. But you see here is the video. And then here are the assignments. Now the assignments are also in the teacher guide. And then we've got the support page and details that you need to get to support us. So this is how you get support. If you're on a video, you just can email us right here. You can go check out our support page to see maybe if the question has been answered before. Usually what you're going to find, and I wish I knew one off the top of my head, but what you're going to find is if there are very frequent questions or errors in the textbook or something, we're going to have it put right here, stuck, just a note, so you don't have to go hunting for this information. And as you go through here, you're going to see, over here in chapter 5, you're going to see, all these different lessons, and they're all going to look very familiar. And let's see how long this one is 2 minutes and 48 seconds. So even better. So you'll notice we go all the way through the end of Harold Jacobs' book. That's a common question we get. Not so much for algebra and geometry now, because we cover the entire book. But in math, you don't have to cover the whole book. You need to cover the right subject. When you get to our algebra 2 and trig and calculus, that is not the case. The books are set up for multiple courses. So some of the questions that we do get often is number one, how to ask questions. And so, or they're a little confused how to get support, and just email us. Hey, I'm in algebra chapter, where are we here? I'm in algebra chapter 5, lesson 5.5. That's chapter 5, lesson 5. And I've got a question about problem number 4, and just send it to us. Some students are sending us a photo of what they've tried to work, and hey, what am I doing wrong? And sometimes it resorts to that we need that anyway. But we're going to help you out. We're going to try to help you get past this. Just historically, we know that very few students are going to be asking for a whole lot of support. Let me say that differently. Very few students will continue to ask for a lot of support. What we see is, Johnny may get stuck at a point. he asks a couple of questions because he's stuck there and maybe for a day or two. We're going back and forth with one student, and then we don't hear from them for a while until they really get stuck again. And that's a fairly typical issue in mathematics. And so as we're diving into these courses, that's something that just happens all the time. You get stuck and you need to get unstuck, and we help you get unstuck and then move forward, and then you might or might not get stuck again. What happens if you don't address the issue? Like some people say, I'm just going to keep moving forward. Well, what's happened is you haven't mastered something and you've tried to move forward, and now you're just going to find yourself frustrated, and you will be thinking, I can't do math. I'm no good at math. This is too hard. This book is terrible. All these things start to happen because you didn't address the stumbling block. And that's learning, right? Learning is running into stumbling block. If you knew everything already, then you wouldn't be learning anything, right? So and the biggest way to learn something is by making mistakes. Think about all the mistakes we've made, right? They're things we will never do again, mostly because we did it wrong or we made a mistake, and we've learned from that mistake. Don't do that again. So as we are helping students, that's what we are looking at: is where is the stumbling block? Not just can we get you to answer this question and move forward. We want the student to understand this is what's going on, and so they understand and say, "Oh, so we just had a problem in calculus like that this morning." The student was asking, I don't understand how to work these problems. Well, the core of these problems was it was a certain concept in calculus. So you're struggling with this one concept. So let's go back to the concept, and let's not just try to just hammer out. Let's get the problems done. And when we can do that, and once the students get it, it's like they get their aha moments, they move forward. So some students we are going to hear from, back and forth a lot. Some students will hear from once or twice. Probably some never contact us, but that's okay. If maybe they don't need that. So let me go back here, but that's what we are looking like in. That's what we are looking like in algebra. And so let's go over here real quick and dive into geometry. Go back here. And we're going to find geometry is very similar by design. So I taught the geometry course. This was a course, by the way, just so you can appreciate your feedback. We had told people we would never do geometry. We had no desire to do geometry. We weren't going to do it. We won't give you the whole backstory. Customers started telling us we want geometry. As a matter of fact, they said we want geometry by Harold Jacobs, somebody who teaches based upon his textbook. That's how we started working with Harold Jacobs. So that's when we did it. We did it for that, and it's been a blessing to us and many people that we've been able to help doing this. So as you look through this, you will see there are, again, I think there's 16 chapters in this also. Most of the book is what we would call plain geometry. It's understanding the geometry that we use in everyday life. Is what that means. And when I say that, I mean things like square footage of a house, triangles, pitches of roofs, things like that, as things that we use all the time. Notice these videos are 4 minutes, and geometry tend to be a little bit, because the way we tried to teach this more bite-sized, we've cut them up a little bit more, or a little differently. All right, so that's kind of a poke around of the courses. You will also find in here that we have. Let me get back to the. These are not on set. We have Algebra 2 and Trig and Calculus. These are not on sale at the moment. An entrepreneurship course, a how money works. This is basically a money management course, and a career planning course, which is it's a lot of people at their junior, senior level will be taking that course. All right, but enough about that. Let's get back to the get my screens all back properly here. So this is our Christmas discount. The main thing is that we have this 20% off. It looks like we've put this off. Algebra 1 and geometry 20% off, and in the comments there. So there is the link to that and everything that you need to do that. We're selling a lot of it. Some of the shipping may be a little bit slower, just because our inventory, the way that's hit, and because we're not out yet, but we will be. And of course, Christmas season, the shipping is insane. So be patient with us. We will get it out to you. So this is 20% off. So it's available until I think she's got here for Christmas. I don't know when the end date of this is, but it's on that. It's going to be in the email. By the way, if you're not on our email, just go to askdrcallahan.com. There's a place there to get on our email list. That's the way you will learn about these discounts. All right. So the other, let's see if there was some questions here that came up beforehand. Yeah, there's kind of the question that's a mixture of a couple of questions. What about my child who struggles in math? That's a common question. And usually we get a little backstory about the different things that you've tried and done. We have a lot of people that come to this from other curriculum. This is why this was done. Again, this is why we picked Harold Jacobs, because it's done well and we're following what he's doing. And we're trying to lay it out, and we're trying to provide the support for, Johnny and Susie and mom and dad, whoever needs the support to get this done. And the other question a lot of people ask is how much time and how many problems. And there's a lot of what we might call math Nazis out there that say you should work every problem in the book. Harold Jacobs is actually, of that same mindset. He believes that you should work every problem in the book. We just disagree. Yeah, we've picked problems that you can get through. You don't have a lifetime to go through this stuff. It's important, but you also have a lot of other things going on. So what we try to do is we've tried to pick the key problems that will get you through. Some parents and students do all of them. Some do more. But the goal is really, if you can get an average of like an hour a day of math where you're working at that, then you should be in a pretty good shape. And then the beauty of homeschooling, you just go at a pace that makes sense to you, and don't worry about the rest, and you'll get to where you need to get to. All right. So we're going to close that up. So thank you so much for joining me again today. We are going to continue to do these lives. We are probably going to change the time and date of these. Not that that matters probably to you, but if you have any feedback, we're wide open to what's easier. We've been told that 1 o'clock on Thursday is not always the best time. So we have this sale going on, and we'll be sending emails about the sale and updates about it. So again, get on our email list, and if you don't hear from us again, and until Merry Christmas. But remember, give us a like and give us a share. We will talk to you next week.